One of the most baffling things that I think I've witnessed over the however many years that Star Citizen has been in development is the development of Star Citizen. And Cloud Imperium Games, who are the developers of this long-in-development project, has dropped another bomb on fans and prospective Star Citizen players that might be a little disappointing. In this video, we're going to talk about upcoming changes in how the Star Citizen developer is going to communicate roadmap, finger quotes, promises to its most passionate fans. And I'm already tired. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have paid $5,000 to arrive to the LZ, and it's so good to see you. And I have never covered Star Citizen that I can think of on this channel, and today I got a pretty good excuse to do so because a news story came out that I wanted to talk about. I don't have an opinion either way, other than I did try one of the recent free flights. It kind of ran like doo-doo on my Ryzen 9 and 3070 getup that I have here, so that was a little concerning, and I didn't really find anything redeeming that would continue to pull me in, which is weird because I'm a huge No Man's Sky fan, and you tend to hear those games compared a lot when it comes to the sort of internet discourse of games that disappointed fans and prospective buyers once upon a time. I don't know. But one of the beliefs that I have, and one thing that I have seen played out, especially when I reference something like No Man's Sky, is the studio that made No Man's Sky opted to not say anything about what is coming to the game ever, and then just drop those surprises. However, the big difference between a game like No Man's Sky and Star Citizen is that No Man's Sky has been long launched and a product that has ever evolved in however many years it's been out, almost 6 now. But like clockwork, all of those updates have been free, numerous every single year that it's been out. And even though your mileage will vary on how much you enjoy any one of those respective updates, they were almost always appreciated and a pretty wild improvement to the base game already. Circle back to something like Star Citizen, and now we're having a conversation about a game that has never actually technically launched, I guess. It's like in alpha still? I don't fully know, but it's very interesting how this story is played out. And it turns out that Cloud Imperium Games are changing how the story is going to play out in the future. Eurogamer reports that Star Citizen will limit its roadmap as passionate, finger quotes, players are getting upset over delays. Now, if we're going to approach this from a reasonable perspective, one would probably objectively agree that not setting improper expectations for your, finger quotes, passionate fan base is probably a good thing, right? It's unfortunate when you show something like a roadmap and what can be expected is additional features that are upcoming and then those features not happening when, you sort of project them to do. I can see why that's upsetting for fans of a particular franchise. However, the article goes on, and I'll actually just read that here. Star Citizen, the still in development sci-fi game, which has now earned $400 million in user funding, has decided to change what goes on its product roadmap. Developer Cloud Imperium Games said it's doing this because many of its Star Citizen's passionate players were taking features added to the roadmap as promises and getting upset when they were delayed. CIG said it would no longer show any upcoming features or any patches beyond the immediate one in the next quarter, rather than continuing to display release projections and carry a high percentage of moving to another quarter. They also announced the change in the lengthy blog post on how it wanted users to view its roadmap and how it changed and how this had changed over time. To cut many paragraphs short, they said instead they wanted players to check the progress tracker, an enormous kind of Trello board with lists of what dozens of small internal teams are building mapped across various months. This is separate to the roadmap's main release view, which is what further off stuff will now be kept off. This shows which features will actually be bundled up to arrive in specific future updates. A quote saying, "We've come to realize that this was a mistake," they said. "It put too much attention on features that had high probability of shifting around. It's been abundantly clear to us that despite our best efforts to communicate the fluidity of development and how features marked as tentative sincerely not be relied upon, the general focus of how many of our most passionate players has continued to learn them or lead them to interpret anything on the release view as a promise. We want to acknowledge that not all of you saw it that way. Many took our new focus on our words to heart and understood exactly what we tried to convey. But there still remains a very loud contingent of roadmap watchers who see projections as promising, and their continued noise every time we shift deliverables has become a distraction both internally at the studio and within our community, as well as to prospective Star Citizen fans watching from the sidelines at our open development communications." I'll pause there for a moment and highlight a couple of the key points that I got. First off, $400 million from user funding. I kind of want to just take a moment and sort of maybe infer why some of these most passionate players might be feeling a little entitled to a game that's been in development for years now, several years, with $400 million in user funding. To stack that up to something else, when budgets are concerned, right? Grand Theft Auto 5 cost originally $265 million to make. That's a massive budget. Even a lot of huge blockbuster movies don't cost that much, right? So that's on the high end of a video game development budget. For a game that has raised $400 million from crowdfunding and has been in development for this long, that's an awfully long time to sort of not understand what it is that your fans are craving for after waiting this long. It really kind of makes you wonder just how long it is going to take before Star Citizen reaches some level that we can consider it a released product that is even just a foundation for these prospective features that are coming. Speaking of prospective Star Citizen fans, right? You changing or removing the conversation for what is actually happening. I mean, that conversation's already been happening from prospective Star Citizen players for years, right? It is a running meme that Star Citizen is this sort of a perpetual vaporware, and I don't want to be unfair to the game. I know people who play Star Citizen, who love Star Citizen and view it as a substantial experience. I have not viewed it that way, and I don't really think I've given it the fair chance that it deserves to do that, right? It's only available on one platform. That version of the game does not run that great for me. And now we're talking about $400 million in budget. If I'm fans of this game, I would want to know exactly how that's being spent, right? And now if you're taking these things off of this roadmap, now if I'm a longtime player, right, and I'm slightly cynical, I'm going to wonder what you're doing with all of this cash on hand, right? I need to know what, and speaking of crowdfunding, right? Crowdfunding is the biggest thing. No Man's Sky was not crowdfunded. It would, well, you would probably make the argument that they made a lot of money on launch for a game that was super controversial and then funded the rest of the way there from that money. Fair enough. But that only took an extra year to technically get it to where it was kind of supposed to be, right? We are years and years down the road for a project that I don't know that Cloud Imperium Games has really established as this is what we want it to look like. This is what launch is. Does anybody really know that, right? I think we have the full right as, people, I say we, as people who have given money to this project to amount to $400 million, to know what it is that you are planning on doing with it. I don't care. I think the anger that you get from shifting that, disappointingly, I would rather disappoint fans to say, hey, this is not quite ready. We need to shift this into another window. I think people can expect that, right? You taking that away from them is not going to help that. As a matter of fact, it's going to make it worse because you have a lot of investors involved in this who have given you money and now they don't know what you're doing with it outside of 90 days worth of a window, right? This all seems kind of condescending towards people who have bought and played and loved the game, and it's really validating to people who are on the outside looking in going, this is pretty much validating my experience that this game is kind of a meme at this point, right? Cloud Imperium Games are not doing themselves a favor here. Another little tidbit at the end here that I wanted to bring up so I can laugh about. In January, the studio said that it laid out its most ambitious 5-year plan yet and mentioned that by 2026, it would be, finger quotes, developing the sequel and sequels to Squadron 42, its upcoming story-based Star Citizen single-player adventure still without a release date. Do you hear that, right? Why would you even say that? You have a game that's not even launched. You have a single-player campaign that's not even launched, does not have a release date, and now we are being ambitious about developing a Star Citizen sequel and the sequels to that single-player. Man, like, this is not good, and I really, really worry about people who have bought into this, right? I don't want to crap on you and your experience, and I don't want to tell you shouldn't love a game, right? I really think that the red flags are up at this point, right? That flag meme that you see all over Twitter of just repeated red flags, this is it, right? When somebody is saying, hey, we're not going to show you what we're working on not so far out. Hey, we know we made $400 million of your money, just trust us, right? Oh, hey, we want to be making sequels to stuff that's not even released and not even, like, done, and doesn't even have a release date for what we're already working on. Red flag, red flag, red flag. That's concerning to me. And, I'm trying to be fair, but I am looking at this from every angle that I can, right? Other than being a player. I am that prospective Star Citizen buyer that they are talking about here. This is not helping me want to buy your game. This is not helping me want to invest in your game. And also, with that kind of budget, this game and this experience should be available on other platforms that are not PC, right? There are PS5s, there are Xbox Series X's out there that I bet you could probably get this running on too. Grand Theft Auto 5 was a multi-platform title for $265 million and has been released on subsequent platforms since. $400 million for an in-development game that has no end in sight on one platform. You're not really helping me as this prospective Star Citizen player, right? This is not helping. So I want to know what you think. Are you a Star Citizen player? Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you approve of this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this having this much of a budget with no end in sight? Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to read your comments about this. Maybe you can sell me on Star Citizen. And if this was informational and helpful, for more industry coverage here on the channel, like and subscribe and come back for the next one.